Hello and welcome to the Happiness Is podcast with me, your host, Bruce Aitchison from Happiness is Egg-Shaped. And today we continue our series on an event that happened 40 years ago and could not have imagined the impact that it would have. Those trailblazers who in the city of Utrecht in Holland played a game between the Dutch national team and the French national team, the very first women's rugby international, giving birth to the Utrecht Shield that we hope will be recognised in the very near future by World Rugby, and has laid the platform for the fantastic Six Nations that has just gone, and we look forward to the World Cup coming later in the year. I am absolutely delighted to have had the opportunity to speak to Bridget, who has helped with the organisation of the anniversary, and to the former captains of the two national teams that played in that very first game, and what a laugh we had. Today, I am delighted to be joined by another of the high rollers involved in the event and in the development of the game in the Netherlands. Annelies Acda is here to talk all about rugby, about Holland, about the past, and hopefully the future too. So without any more time wasting from me, please welcome Annelies. Hello.
Hi, Bruce. Thank you very much. What an introduction.
Well, I'm always delighted to speak to people about rugby, and people in places like Holland where most of us don't have a great deal of knowledge about, and then it's part of this hugely historic event and you're part of it. What's your rugby journey? What's your story?
Well, currently I am the General Secretary of Rugby Nederland, the Dutch Rugby Union. It's a voluntary role, and I've been doing that for 6 years. But of course, it didn't start there. When I was, in my 20s, I moved to Worcester, to the UK, to work there. And immediately I got in touch with the rugby club, and I started playing rugby in Worcester. Played there for a couple of years for the second team, but made great friends for life. So going back to the Netherlands, decided to not pick up volleyball again, which I played before I started playing rugby, but continue. And I ended up playing for AAC, for the Dutch national team, and became a team manager after a concussion sort of, slowed me down, but kept on playing for my club. Was involved with lots of social teams, lots of parties, and also involved with the World Rugby and Rugby Europe setup. So part of the women's committee of the women's subcommittee for Rugby Europe, and I'm one of the scholarship recipients for World Rugby. So heavily involved, all besides my job.
I love it that it's a volunteer role and it probably takes up as much time as your real job.
I'm not sending this to my boss.
I absolutely love it. And you must love it to give so much time and energy to the game when really a lot of what you're doing now is for the benefit of other people.
But I think that's what I like doing most. I mean, I did play at a reasonable level, but for me, it was always about the love for rugby, love for the sport, love for your teammates. And I get an enormous thrill when I see, and it doesn't matter which level people are playing, when they come off the pitch with a smile on their face, covered in mud and bruises, and just enjoying themselves. And it's not about the level, it's really about the enjoyment you get out of it on and off the pitch.
But there's now the opportunity for women, especially the game for men has been professional for a number of years, but women now have got every level to aim for. They can become a professional and an international in some countries. They can play to a high level. They can play club. They can play social. They're involved in leadership roles in clubs and in unions and associations like yourself. That has been a huge progression in recent years.
It's been unbelievable, and I can see it coming on in leaps and bounds, where it used to be you almost had to defend yourself for playing rugby 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So why are you playing rugby? And isn't there any sport you could do better? People almost attacking you. Now you can see the growth, you can see the support, and slowly but surely you can see that the resistance is sort of fading away or ebbing away, or maybe the old people are not too much in charge anymore. It's a new generation. We're not there yet, though. I can see, it's not equal, and I think we need to do more as a whole, as a community, to support each other and to say, listen, it's sports played by either men or women, doesn't matter. But if you put in the effort, and if you have got the talent, and if you've got the setup, then you have to reward that, and you have to reward that with resources, with whatever you can do. And sponsors should be more interested. It's an interesting time to be involved in rugby.
Have you enjoyed the Six Nations recently?
I didn't get to see that much of it, to be honest. So I didn't have much time. I've also family, but we put it on whenever we can. My husband is a rugby player too, so yeah, we do watch it, and I'm still supporting England all the way.
Ah, okay. Well, they are a very, very strong team, winning the Grand Slam and look favourites
They
for the World
are.
Cup, and some phenomenal role models. Who were your role models? Who do you look at and think that person is someone that we should be aspiring to be like?
I think in rugby, having my Worcester background, I look at people like Jo Yap. I don't know if you know her.
Yes, of course.
She's
Yeah.
she's we're still in touch. We see each other. I think what she's done on the coaching level, I love that. Somebody behind the scenes, Nikki Ponsford from rugby, from the RFU. I think she's done a great deal, also behind the scenes, more than people maybe notice, to progress the cause. If I want to be a bit more, vocal about it. But also all those men and women behind the scenes who are there all the time, who support it, clubs that give people a chance. It's more, I don't have one role model. I think it's more about the community that embraces the sport and embraces everybody in it. And I love that rugby is so open-minded, and that we are an example, and that we are getting there, more and more.
Annelies, I think you're an absolutely fantastic spokesperson for the game. That was a mic drop moment, if you ask me. Some of your Dutch players have now gone overseas and are picking up experience similar to you, although rugby wasn't the reason you travelled, but it was something you found when you did. How much impact do they have on the next generation or on the players who are still playing in Holland?
They have a huge impact. Our captain, Linda van der Velde, she is amazing. She's a role model on and off the pitch, playing for Exeter Chiefs. I
Winning
think,
for Exeter Chiefs.
yeah, she's doing really well. I mean, she's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
But I think the way she's committed to the game, it shows that the other players, and I can see more and more girls from our teams, from our national team, but also girls are aspiring to be internationals, seeking adventures abroad. Plony Kivitz, she's in Japan. She's also traveling the world, trying to make a living out of a sport, but also bringing it back to the country. And we are, even though we were the country that had the first international match almost by accident, if you look at it, we are also still a development country when it comes to rugby. I mean, it's not our national sport. It's not something that people know much about. So for them to bring that experience and that knowledge, and to get it even more as a part of their system and bringing it back, we definitely want that more and more. Also, we need a stronger home competition. So that would be helpful if they bring their experience back at a certain point.
Yeah, I love the Netherlands to be on a national stage, because when you see the football team decked in orange in the stadium, that would be such a cool thing to add to some of these big events.
I know, and it seems so weird because as a nation, we're athletic, we're good at team sports, we do well at Olympics, we have the right build to be good rugby players. We just need to see more of the game, understand it better, and grow. And we've got a new strategic plan that is titled "Growing the Game." We're pretty ambitious within the country, and
Well,
even during the
if you
pandemic.
if you can understand it, please help me out with it. If we could simplify it, I think that would help. That would help the growing of the game. But that's for a whole
Yes.
other podcast. So you've already mentioned 40 years ago, almost by accident, we had these two teams who would have no idea really that they were the trailblazers and the impact it would have and what the future would hold. They just wanted to play for their country in a competitive match and enjoy it, I think, is
Yeah.
probably at the crux of it all. So now we get to this anniversary, and the city of Utrecht is all geared up for this fantastic event coming up in June. Tell us what we can expect from it.
Well, what we would like to do is look at the past, but also at the future. So, of course, we're celebrating the Trailblazers. Without them, we wouldn't be where we are. Who knows how much longer it would have taken us and everybody else. Um, but it's not just about the third half, as the original players readily mentioned, and the game itself. Although we will be playing an international game, we couldn't get it organized to have the Dutch women play France. For starters, it wouldn't be safe. The difference is too big. French are gearing up towards the World Cup. But we are playing Belgium, which is in between, so close enough. And
And a strong rivalry.
and it's a friendly rivalry, so it's going to be a good game. And coming back to the third half, they know how to do that well as well. But it's also we've got that game to showcase top sports to Utrecht, because the National Rugby Center is in Amsterdam, so it'd be nice to bring it back to Utrecht, where it all started. So we've got the support of the Utrecht Rugby Club and also of the city of Utrecht, which happens to celebrate its 900, can you believe it, anniversary. But we also wanted to organize a seminar or something to actually talk a bit more in depth with coaches, referees, but also board members of clubs, and not only rugby clubs, but also maybe Utrecht sports clubs in general, about diversity in sport. Not necessarily only women, but we've got people from all different backgrounds talking about maybe the physical dimension of women in sports. What does it matter? What does it what female bodies are different to male bodies. Does it have an impact on how you coach or what you train or how you play? But also about sponsorships or watching women's sports. What can you expect? What makes it interesting for maybe sponsorships or organization or for your club? And also, why is diversity important? Because we all see that rugby is growing, not only with women's sports, but also when you look at walking rugby, we've got that in the Netherlands. I don't know if you've heard about that. Or mixed ability, which you had a lovely introduction from the people of mixed ability rugby from the UK. Quite a few clubs are doing it now. So what you want is as many people enjoying the game. Happiness is egg-shaped, and it's not just for men, it's for everyone. So whatever your shape, size, or gender, or ability, go for it. But it does mean something for the people who are facilitating it. So that's what we want to pay attention to. And of course,
Annelies, you're my absolute favourite. You've absolutely nailed it. It sounds like a phenomenal weekend. How do people get involved? How are you engaging the Dutch people to get them there?
well, I think we've only got 8 weeks, but we need to to start moving. And Bridget and her team have done a fantastic job. But until last week, we didn't even know if we had the funding, because we are not a very rich rugby union. We've only got a handful of people working for the union, or maybe a bit more, and they are working flat out, doing everything they can. Not for this project, because we said if we want to do this, we need to have a separate project team. But now we've got to go. Then we will start with all our communication channels. We will write to all the teams and clubs available, but also the Utrecht Sports Council can help and invite Utrecht clubs. And if sponsorships are available, if any sponsor is watching potential, feel free to get in touch and help us with this event, because we know if you put a lot of rugby people or sport-minded people in one place, it's going to be great anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It just sounds like it's going to be such a positive experience. So you mentioned the future. What is the impact in the UK when the Olympics came in London 2012? A big part of it was the legacy. What happens next? So what do you see? Look into your crystal ball. What do you see in the future for rugby in the Netherlands?
Oh, is it wishful thinking or a crystal ball? But I do see a growth. I do see that especially women will take part in the game in whatever way, either on or off the pitch. I see more girls. Just this morning, one of my neighborhood girls, girls next door was walking the dog and said, "Don't tell my mum, but I'm taking a shortcut because I want to go to rugby camp." And I said, I won't tell you, mum, but I love that. I love girls going to clubs and being welcomed and having what I will see. What I see in my crystal ball is an open atmosphere, is a community that is not talking about girls in a dismissive way, but is actively engaging them, actively seeking them out. And what I would love to see is for rugby to recognize that the sport means different things for different people. So maybe we tend to focus on discipline or respect a lot. But when I look at what it means for women, speaking for myself, I mean, I can't speak for all women, of course, but it's about body positivity. What we have in common is the respect, or is the fun and the friendship. But I think it's more about being comfortable, but with your strength, with your speed, with everybody, with the contact and not being afraid and being fearless. And what I would love for rugby to be in the future is a vehicle to I don't know, bring that fearlessness to more women and more men as well. And it has to grow, and we have to emphasize more and more that rugby is for everybody who wants to play, and not just because your child needs discipline or respect or anything like that.
Annelies, I think I could listen to you all day talk about the positivity that this game can bring. So I've loved speaking to you, Annelies, and thank you for taking the time to speak to me. If I can give you this platform in a few sentences, sell the weekend and why dad and mum should bring the family, why you should bring grandmother, what the kids can benefit, sell it to me.
What Please come because it is going to be an awesome party. It is going to be an event that honors the past, celebrates the past, but also celebrates the future, where you will get to see some top players in action. You will get to see the future of Dutch rugby, but maybe international rugby. Who knows? We're bringing our best to the UK. And you will have a great atmosphere and hopefully in the sun, and you will learn something about the game.
Love it. I absolutely love it. Annelies, thank you so much. I wish you all the very best for it. I won't be there, but my
No.
spirit will be there. And I look forward to seeing it on social media and hearing about it. And hopefully, it's covered by TV and World Rugby and everyone and anyone, because it certainly deserves it. And people like you that are giving up their time and energy and putting so much enthusiasm into it deserve to be backed. So please keep in touch. Please let us know how it goes. Maybe come back and tell us the fruits of your labor.
Will do, and thank you so much for paying, for bringing this to everybody's attention, and thanks for everything you do for the game.
I love it. Thank you, Annelies. All the best. I look forward to meeting you sometime soon. Well, you heard it all here. What a phenomenal person to have driving such an event, driving the growth. So many nuggets of gold in there of what the game can do and how inspiring it can be for the future to make the world a better place. I would think we should all be a little bit more like Annelies. I'm definitely going to try. If you've enjoyed the pod, you can listen to us on Acast, Apple, Spotify. I think we're even on Amazon now. You can watch on YouTube and Facebook. Tell your friends that the Happiness Is podcast is out there and it's worth a listen. And if you can, and if you're willing, and if you've got the chance, get yourself to Utrecht on the weekend of the 19th of June and get involved in this phenomenal event that is going to mark a historic occasion, but hopefully is going to help the future of the game too. I loved it. I am inspired and I am smiling like a dafty. I hope you are too. I look forward to speaking to you all again very, very soon. In the meantime, my name is Bruce Aitchison and my happiness is egg shaped.